Welcome to GCCars. My name is Eric, and we've recently had both the Mercedes-Benz GLE as well as the Mercedes-Benz GLB, Mercedes entry-level luxury SUVs. But while I generally liked them, they both did have shortcomings in terms of what I expected for the price and what I expect from a Mercedes. Enter the Mercedes-Benz GLE 350. In this case, Mercedes mid-size SUV. This is significantly more expensive than both the GLA and the GLB, sitting as spec'd at $79,000 Canadian, US dollar price as always, somewhere here, but it is not a budget Mercedes, so I think we can expect a lot more. Of course, in this review, we'll take a look at the interior, exterior, we're gonna drive it, and in the end, I'm gonna give my verdict on if you should spend your money on this GLA or maybe go with a competitor. But just before we start, real quick, we also have POV drives and a full-on walk around. We go interior, exterior, under the hood, in the trunk. So if you want to see all of that stuff, I got the playlist about this GLE just in the top. Wait, where's the right-hand side for you? Somewhere here. I don't know where right for you is. Wait, up there. There's. Anyhow, let's get started with the exterior impressions right here. So generally, I think the GLE looks pretty good. I like it, especially if you look from the back. You really have some wide hips because it kind of goes wider first of all on the fenders, and then it goes a little wider just above the wheel well. I think it looks pretty good. Even this GLE 350, which is the base engine, right? So it has a 2-liter inline 4. It's pretty nice looking. Of course, we have the sport package here, which gives us the AMG front bumper, which just takes it up a little bit, but still good. But I do have an issue with this GLE, and I've had ever since this generation came out. The lights. To an extent, the taillights, we get to those, but mostly the headlights, because they're not that they're bad in terms of functionality, but they just don't fit the car at all. I don't like them. I don't think they look good, because if you look at most cars and look at the headlights, they in some way relate to the rest of the front end. So they have like similar angles, or you could like take the headlight and put it somewhere else and would kind of fit pretty well. These headlights, not generally the assembly, but more like these lines here, they don't relate to anything. The angles are 100% different. Like, they don't fit at all. It's really off-putting. And I made a poll on Instagram, where I always do Instagram Q&As. So if you want to know and ask questions about all the cars I have pretty much every week, you should follow me on Instagram. A lot of people said they didn't like it. So about maybe a third of the people said they didn't like them. And for a Mercedes, where most people intend to always say they like it, kind of not the best result, I'll be honest. And I've had people give the same complaint, be like, I don't like them because of that. And I was like, that's exactly what I said, right? So, I don't know. It's not a game breaker, but I really don't like these. Like, I genuinely don't like these. And it's more like, it feels like something that would happen in a mid-cycle refresh where we're kind of bound to the body and the chassis and all that we have, right? So we can't change much of that. So just change the headlights, I guess. So, yeah, no, they just don't relate. The taillights, on the other hand, work a little better. They don't really relate too much to the back end of the car, but they tend to work a little better. Hello. But I like the tail. I like the back. Honestly, the back looks pretty good. And the side profile. This SUV, like the GLE, is larger than you expect. Honestly, when you stand in front of it, you're like, okay, this is actually a lot larger than I thought. But I like it. I think overall, just like this, except for the lights, pretty good looking SUV. But let's go to the inside and see how it is in here. All right, so getting into the GLE interior. First of all, this is the same interior you get into the GLS. So in like the kind of most luxurious Mercedes you can get SUV-wise. So you get the same one. And what I didn't like in the GLA and the GLB was that the screens in front, the dual screen, just kind of looked tacked on, like you put some super glue on it, just stuck them on there and be like, yeah, that's great. Way better in here, way more integrated. It's still not perfect because I still don't like this whole dual screen that are not integrated into the dash a lot. But in general, it's a lot more integrated. Like with this vent area around it, looks pretty good. What would have been really cool, obviously that would have blown the budget. I know why they didn't do it. That's totally fine. It's not a critique. I'm just saying, like, kind of dreaming about it here. If this whole vent screen, this whole vent area would have just been like one big screen, that would have been so cool. But the way it is, I think it looks decent. It's still a Mercedes, so there's that. But you don't really push around on your dashboard that much, I guess. That should be fine. But no, visually and for the most part, usability wise, pretty good interior. I like it. We got a good trim. I like this brown, this black ash wood we got in here. It's my favorite Mercedes trim. Looks really good. I think the black on black is kind of boring. I know that's how most cars probably get spec, but you can get for the same price, you can get like a beige interior. It doesn't cost you anything. You can get like beige with like this black wheel, which will look great. But hey, you do you. This is just kind of an example spec, right? We got nice metal switchgear on the side. Our seats are comfortable. Of course, memory seats, heated seats, not cooled, which is an extra option. Trust these seats in the summer, they get so hot and there's zero ventilation. Like if it's 30 degrees out Celsius, that's like, I don't know, 108 Fahrenheit, or like, no, probably like 100 Fahrenheit, whatever, somewhere around that. You will sweat your butt off. Seriously, I had shorts on, and the whole lower side, I don't sweat a lot. The whole side, like lower side of my shorts, they were wet, not moist. They were wet because there's just like these seats. They just get the ventilated seats. Get the ventilated seats. Cool thing though, both the center console wheel, the armrest is heated. This is optional, but it's really nice. Enables with your heated seats. Just makes it a little nicer. And I've gone over like the MBUX. I still like MBUX a lot. Still think it's very usable. But most of the stuff I've been going over in the GLA and the GLB review. So make sure to watch those. I'll leave them in the top right hand corner for you if you want to have a deep dive into this. I want to really talk about only one more thing in this GLE interior. First of all, oh my god, nice. I want to talk about one more thing, which is this center stack. And I have to complain about this, so I don't want to do this personally. So I'll just give my Mr. Details. Mr. Details, well, I'm just going to do that. So because I don't want to complain about it, so he'll just get in. I'll see you guys in a minute. Thank you. Hello. No. 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 Ah, perfect. Now I have to criticize a German car, which is not something I like to do, but this is my job after all, so I shall continue. So the complaint my colleague has is about this center stack. Let's start. There are multiple ones. Now, let's say you want to open this tray to access your cup holders. First of all, opening is relatively easy, but it would have been nice if it were spring loaded, because as it is both, how you call it, you touch it, you feel it, Let's say you feel it, both in a feeling way as well as an audio way. Not too pleasing. There's a little bit of friction. It is not terrible, but it would just been a little bit nicer in a different way. Minor complaint number 2. You want to use a dash cam? Well, too bad. You will have to look at this visual clutter forever, because this cover does not clear the connection. You can use it, but you will not be able to close it ever unless you use a USB-C connector. Now, complaint number 3. You know how my colleague always says, well, in this car, the wireless phone charger is big enough, which is not that common. Well, it's not that common because of this car. This is a Samsung Galaxy S21 Plus. A big phone, but not by any means the biggest on the market. There is the S21 Ultra and equivalent Apple iPhones. Now, shall I put this into this, which works and charges, but there is not much clearance. An S21 Plus, an S21 Ultra probably doesn't fit. The newest iPhone, the biggest one, probably doesn't fit. Not even speaking of future phones. And it's an $80,000 car. Now, you want to take it out from top? No, your finger is stuck. That is bad. Now let's put it down, get our finger out, beautiful. You have to go from the top right, push it out, put it up, and grab it. That is a multi-action task. That is very, very badly thought out. Now, another complaint, no, let's start off with a good one. Our cup holders are heated and cooled. That is nice. Now, let's say you are driving on the road. You have a relaxed drive, as they say, you are cruising. Now, you put your hands here. Great, you want to relax your right arm. What do? You just put it down. Oh no, you have just switched to channel 354 and you are not listening to 80s on 8 anymore because you've touched the touchpad. Okay, I can't touch it here. So I'll just put it right there, which sounds good in theory, unless you realize that for a long time, this will be uncomfortable on your wrist. So you either have to put it on your lap, which also is kind of uncomfortable, or you have to molest your passenger by just putting the hand up there. This looks nice, but there are unfortunately a lot of issues. Now, my colleague failed to mention some things that I shall just go over. The door cells are optionally illuminated, which looks nice, as he says. We have Großschreibwerk holders in the trunk, which is always a good option and not too many car manufacturers include. Good on you, Mercedes. And then we have the stereo sound system. This is the upgraded Burmester, not the 3D Burmester. That is another option. But the audio system is good, but it is not great. Once again, there is room for improvement, but you will still enjoy the music. Now I shall get my colleague back in here. You're welcome. All right. So after that, I can leave the door open. Soft close is, by the way, optional. Rear seats. There's so much room in the back. Really nice, really comfortable. Looks great. Obviously, our ambient lighting also, and this GLE, just like in all the Mercedes, is really good. Looks amazing. You can have 64 different colors. You can have it animated. Love it. And the trunk also really nice and big. So honestly, like if you have a family of 4, this midsize GLE, really good size, and I think this is kind of like the sweet spot in terms of SUV size, because it's not too big that it's kind of impractical, but it's also not small that it's impractical. So this is practical. Okay, but why don't we just hit the road and we'll just snap it over there and right into the fun stuff. Let's launch it. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 80, 80, and upshift. Plenty of power, plenty of power. I actually can't tell you right now what's the 0 to 60. I'm guessing like, probably like around the 6.5-ish seconds. I'm not sure. Anyhow, 2-liter inline 4 turbocharged, 255 horsepower, 273 pound-feet of torque. Despite this being the base engine, you won't need more. You won't need more power, honestly. You go on the highway, it's fine. You want to overtake on the highway, it's fine. This engine is actually really good because it produces a lot of power down low, so you don't really have to rev it out. Really happy with it. Of course, you can go for the better engines, like the 450 has the 3-liter inline 6 with the mild hybrid system, which produces a lot more power, but this is fine. Then this has made it to an automatic transmission, a 9-speed automatic, which also shifts pretty well. Honestly, during the I keep saying honestly again, I gotta stop this. No, but during daily driving, it's pretty much always in the right gear, in the perfect gear you want, and it reacts softly. The shifts are good, shifts are fast, shifts aren't violent, which is actually really interesting because if you launch it and are in sport mode, you do realize that the shifts become a lot more violent. It really kind of sharpens up its response compared to daily driving, which is nice. It kind of has 2 modes for that. Now we do, of course, have our paddle shifters here, which we're going to use in a second. I just want to get past this, but these train tracks. Gotta make sure we also know how the suspension is, right? So, transmission-wise, 9-speed transmission, so we can downshift, 3rd, 2nd, turbo lag, and there we go. Upshift, upshift. So there's a lot of turbo lag. Downshift, downshift. The transmission reacts pretty well to our inputs. Okay, enough shifting. Let's put it into automatic and into comfort mode. So the transmission reacts really well, but in certain scenarios there can be a lot of turbo lag, like you just mentioned. So there was about a good second of turbo lag when I got on the gas. But during daily driving, you really don't notice it. This is just in these very specific manufactured scenarios that I give you here, where I shift down to 2nd gear while doing like 45 kilometers an hour. A very, very non-applicable to the normal daily driving. It's fine, trust me, it's fine. Engine and transmission, really happy with it. Of course, you can upgrade to the 450 if you need more, but this will be more than enough than you will need. But let's talk about the suspension weight. Like I said, we already did go over the train tracks, and that was also one of the complaints I had. I think it was in the GLA. The GLA road didn't ride that well, especially considering that it's a Mercedes and it kind of is supposed to ride well. This GLE here rides a lot better. I mean, obviously it rides a lot better, but it also rides more like I expect a GLE to ride for this price. Is it perfect? No. Smaller, like sharper bumps don't get absorbed perfectly, but like big bumps, you don't really feel them. It's very comfortable. In your daily commute, the suspension will be comfortable enough. You can upgrade to the Air Ride for about $2,500 Canadian. I'll put the prices somewhere here. just so you have a super accurate price. It is not really necessary. I think this is comfortable enough, but of course, if you really value having it super comfortable, this air ride will probably, I haven't tested it, but will probably improve on the pretty decent suspension that we already have in here quite a bit. Of course, another factor in the suspension is how is it to drive. This is a GLE 350. That's the base model. It really doesn't matter, but we always do it. So let's just go for it. Let's just talk about it. So first of all, if I'm going to do this, a lot of body roll, which is nice because we do want to have a lot of body roll. That makes it a little more softer and really not overly harsh, not overly sharp in the suspension. I didn't do any real maneuvers in this, so handling wise, the only thing I noticed is like there's one highway on-ramp next to me, next to my place, which is really nice because there's a lot, like it's a long turn, kind of a bit closing in terms of radius, and you can safely and without breaking the law go to the limit of your car on that one. Unlike other cars, the limit here, understeered obviously, kind of just hit. It's like you hit a wall and then it understeers. Other cars are more gradual and you just kind of slowly start the understeer to creep in, kind of feel starting to creep in. This one just kind of hit a wall and suddenly understeered, but it was easy to correct. So it doesn't matter. It'll be fine. But what are you going to do? If you care about handling, why are you looking at a GLE 350? But we're talking about more daily drive stuff I want to talk about. First of all, noise. Noise is an issue I've had with was it the GLA or the GLB? One of them was pretty noisy. This GLE is a lot better. You can even insulate it even better. There's an option for that, to have like more insulated glass. I don't think you really need it, just like with the air ride. Unless you really, really care about it, this will be fine. No problem whatsoever. It is quiet, it is comfortable in here. I think it was very relaxing to drive this GLE. Also, what's really good, especially comparison to some other cars these days, considering the CX-30, I know in a different class, but just sometimes I just cross-reference reviews. The CX-30 we've had last week, the visibility, not last, a couple weeks ago, the visibility was terrible in that one. And here, it is so easy to see out. Like, I really don't have much of a blind spot because this window behind the C pillar, right, is giving me a good view behind, and it just kind of shifts the blind spot a little forward next to the, just behind the rear door, and I see a lot. Like, visibility is really good, which is of course something you'd value, especially if you want to, you drive your kids or your family or anybody you value and you don't want to crash. That can also include yourself. I personally do not intend to crash, so that's very nice. No, but it's like in terms of daily driving, this GLE is actually pretty good, even for the base model. I don't really have many complaints in terms of that, but I do have complaints. I don't have many, but I have complaints, and that goes in the direction of our technology, especially our assist features. So this one, once again, isn't equipped with the adaptive cruise control. I will talk about that in the final thoughts, but TLDR, luxury automakers, especially German ones, just nickel and dime you for stuff that should be standard. We don't have the adaptive cruise control. It's like a $3,000 option to come packaged with some other stuff. But what we do have is our, what we didn't have in the GLA and the GLB, is our automatic high beams. And I'll be honest, they don't really work that well. Like they in my POV night, in my night POV drive, it's top right hand corner. I always do this to test the automatic high beams. It kind of failed to realize when a car was ahead, not oncoming, but a mile lane, just like a bit ahead. It often kind of didn't realize that there was a car and didn't turn off the high beams, so it kind of blinded them. Then there were situations where it would turn on the high beams, realize there's a car, instantly turn them back on again, 2 seconds later turn them back on again, then after a few seconds turn them back off again. So where it just doesn't, it just can't decide. It's like, oh, can I keep them on? Can I keep them off now? So it just, I've seen a lot better automatic high beam assist. The best one still is Kia. They have a really good system. So I would just wish that Mercedes would step up their automatic high beams a little bit and make them work better, because it's just, if I spent money on top of this GLE to get the technology package, which includes the automatic high beams, I expect them to work, and not that I have like every couple of times that I have to then manually turn them off. I need to turn them on again and hope that this time the system works as intended. So that needs a little more work. It's not terrible per se, and the animation, well, like the way these headlights go on, like the high beams enable, really nice because they kind of shift. They start in the middle and shift out. It's like that. Looks beautiful. Attention to detail. I love attention to detail. Really important in a luxury car. Just the high beam assist needs a little more tinkering with it. But I think we've talked about a lot of stuff right now, and I think I've given you a good overview over how it is to drive, and we've talked about the interior and the exterior. So why don't we just sum it all up, get to the price, and see if you should spend your money on this GLE 350 and the final thoughts. Okay, final thoughts on the 2021 Mercedes-Benz GLE 350. I'll be honest, this is one of the first cars that really kind of left me with, was struggling to find a conclusion and to formulate a conclusion on it. Because while I generally liked it, while I liked it, it never wowed me in any way. Like, nothing really was like, this is insane value, or the interior is amazing. Like, don't get me wrong, it's good. It's good. It's a really good interior. But it's nothing that kind of blew me away, really. So I'm like, all right, this is an SUV. But first of all, to answer the question we posted in the beginning, the GLA and the GLE I had issues with. They failed in some regards in what I expect from a luxury car, and they ran the greatest value. Both of these issues are fixed in the GLE 350. First of all, it rides well, it is nice and quiet. That's important. It all feels pretty well built, too. Secondly, the value. I can see how this is worth $79,000. No issue whatsoever. Probably the most important takeaway from this video, though, is that if you look at a GLE, don't bother with a 450. Go with the 350. The 2-liter is more than plenty. It's more than adequate. You won't ever need more power, and you can take that money to either upgrade your GLE 350, get some good options in there because it's a Mercedes. You will need options, or book a vacation to I don't know, Bermuda. I don't really even know if Bermuda is nice. So take the 350, take a vacation to Bermuda, and then tell me if Bermuda is nice. So my travel tips will be better. But no, yeah, like I said, I liked it. Good power, interior is good, nice and quiet. Ride is decent. Just some minor complaints here and there, which just kind of left me in a spot where I can't really say, wow, this is amazing. It's good. Period. All right, like I said, I have more reviews pretty much every week. I review cars, I got trucks, I got SUVs, I got sports cars, I got it all. I got it all. So if you like cars, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. Also, if you like the video, make sure to, first of all, also subscribe and like the video, because that's the only way that YouTube knows that you actually like the video and will recommend it to other people. And when it gets recommended to other people, my channel grows, which then in turn helps you because I get to make more cool content. Other than that, I really, really hope you liked the video. Of course, tell me your opinion of the GLE. Do you think it's a better value than the GLA and the GLB? Do you think my assessment is fair, that it's really good, but just not quite there in terms of like wow factor? I'd like to know that. And other than that, hope you have a great day, and I hope I'll see you in the next one. Thank you and goodbye.